So, when I was in the military, I very often worked with the smartest people in the world. And one thing I've noticed is that the smartest people in the world, especially military scientists, they tend to start caring about symbols and numbers more than people, outcomes, the mission, etc. And the way that I've discovered in terms of creating win-win-win scenarios wherever I go is to make sure that I always maintain an extremely high perspective. That came off wrong, but to make sure that I'm always obsessively cross-pollinating ideas. And the best way I know to do this is to include people, missions, outcomes, symbols, and then to maintain a framework while I'm thinking. So this is like my version of brainstorming. There's two kinds of things that I've come up with when it comes to brainstorming. One is like-kind clustering, which is the basis of pattern match recognition, shortened to cognition, and gravitating. So a lot of times I'll kind of gravitate ideas into like-kind ideas. But the problem with that is then that can become a narrowed focus. So these are some of the things that I came up with, like city kid meets country boy. That's my mom. And that's like my friend Jason Tukarchuk. Dude, that's your mom? Help! And then just other things, like the things that I think about that I find funny, like God reads a fortune cookie. People come to the pearly gates. Hi, God. Whoa, we made it. And then God's looking at the fortune. Soon you will pull out of your deep depression. So I gravitated like Queen Elizabeth with all her gold next to one of my main focuses, which is on the nuclear secrets theoretical framework extrapolated out for practical application. So my daughter, Queen Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth. Now, if you like-kind cluster too much, there's this paradox that you can no longer maintain a cross-pollination of ideas. So how do you have a cross-pollination of ideas factor that's 200, 500, so that you can easily beat all your peers at whatever you're trying to do, and also maintain an obsessive focus on what you're trying to do? Well, I'm always trying to figure that out. Because what are the things I care about? I care about my family, my friends. I care about maintaining an ideal weight over time. I care about nuclear science. It's my field, epidemiology, or is the study of nuclei and nucleus stuff. I care about business, so I probably care about my family first, so I tied that idea into family business, an international best-selling book over 1 to 40 years, #2 best-selling book, and then probably second to that, I care about being a positive influence, a role model on my family and friends. So Ultraman, Iron Man, and that kind of comes out of Rich Roll's obsession with ultra endurance. And then I paired that with an idea of like Neo from the Matrix, like, what if I told you diet and exercise is the key to weight loss? Everybody knows that, but basically everybody tries to avoid that. And then I also paired it with this thing that I came up from my just handwritten autobiography about ideal weight management. And I'll read my own book that's being built very, very slowly. And this is, and, you know, it's interesting. I look at what I write and it's exactly the same as how I feel now. To a certain degree, to me, joining the military in 2009 at 24 years old was a bit like opting out of having the polio virus, being overweight or obese, like everyone else around me, 70% of the US population. I was aware that this population was more or less immune from the chronic disease of obesity that was ravaging the nation. And then it's like, oh, by the way, you might get shot and die or get PTSD, which isn't really funny, but it's sort of like, is joining the military over 4 years a weight maintenance strategy? Absolutely. Did I join the military mostly for all the right reasons? Yeah. So here I am trying to control my focus into a singular concept, overcoming conflicting desires and opportunities, because the team of doctors that helped me at the hospital said I have really severe ADHD. And so how do you not take ADHD medication? Because I can't take Disoxin or Adderall. It makes me too paranoid, and then basically like I'm liable to rob a bank or hurt someone or hurt myself. So I have to somehow counter ADHD with having OCD, or obsessive compulsive disorder. And then I turn it into like overcoming conflicting desires and opportunities, which simultaneously acts as a definition of self-discipline itself. And then that can be expanded out into these two categories that I care the most about. One, family business. Two, being an inspirational friend. Because at this point in my life, like, I'm not currently overweight. I look good in my clothes. I feel pretty good. So why would I continue trekking forward at trying to get fitter and stronger? Well, to help my kids, help my friends. And then these two charts will basically feed into this chart. And I absolutely haven't figured out how exactly to do it. So this is me brainstorming. And this is my friend John, one of my best friends, Bill Gates, who I call Space-Time, Fat Nyan. I keep travel fun with my friend Paul and his daughter, and I think about Andy and my wife Sakang, and I think about Colin, Owen, and I think about one of my other best friends, Brock, Fit Dad, Maydak Gnome, Leadership. My friends Dixon and his wife and his two kids. And then this is from the Navy, and I always look over this whenever I feel kind of stuck. It says, what are you shooting for as a human being? You're shooting to become a recognized expert sought out by all for technical knowledge, and uses technical knowledge to solve the most complex technical problems. And then some of these things I highlight, like proactive EO leader, equal opportunity, equality of outcomes leader, etc. Then here's another tracker. Here's some of my things I care about most. When I'm feeling really undisciplined, I think about Tony Robbins. Can you at least plod your way to success? It's like, if you half-ass something half-time and you half-care about it, you'll always get there every time. It's only when it's really when somebody can convince you to, if you're not doing it perfect, you shouldn't even try. Or if somebody can convince you that you'll never get there, that you'll give up. But otherwise, we live on a cause and effect planet. And if you just work at something until it works, it'll always work every time. And then this is sort of a joke about my nephew Colin, which he might find offensive, but I was worse than Colin when I was a kid. I want instant gratification as of yesterday. And as of yesterday is a high society term. I want this done as of yesterday. And then, Mr. Prater, you suffer from major depression. Gosh, so basically, like, when I was at the VA hospital, the doctors, there's like a team of 20 doctors and nurses and staff, and they were like, Mr. Prater, you will probably suffer from major depression for the rest of your life. And of course, I'm thinking, like, that's like the most depressing thing I've ever heard in my life. And then, so when I get really unfocused, I think about, what are the United Nations goals for humanity, planet Earth, our solar system that we're bouncing around with our satellites and people walking on the moon, etc., etc. And then I think of John F. Kennedy saying that poverty is probably much more harder to eradicate than the exploration of space. And that happens to be the #1 group goal, good ideal for humanity. Eradication of poverty, #1. The secondary mission is the eradication of extreme hunger. The third mission for us as a species, according to the United Nations, what the 193 nations have agreed upon the most in leadership of the world, is 3 is good health for all, and 4 is basic literacy for all people, because there's something like 617 people that lack even the most basic literacy.